week's manga chapter of One Piece, Luffy's epic confrontation with Cracker comes to a crazy conclusion as Luffy continues to feast and devour on Cracker's never-ending biscuit army, which only powers up Luffy even more, allowing him to finally unleash a brand new devastating technique, the Gear 4th Gumu Gumu no Cannonball. Did you guys see Luffy doing that Gear 4th Tank Man technique this week? That was pretty freaking awesome. No joke, Luffy sent Cracker's ass flying, like freaking Team Rocket from Pokemon. This week's chapter of One Piece was satisfying as hell. We finally got back to the battle between Luffy and Cracker, and it pretty much ended the way that you would expect. Luffy ate all of his armor, it pumped him up even more, and he was almost full to bursting when he finally decided to unleash his Gear 4th technique again, which, despite the fact that he's now been transformed into a freaking blimp, he's still able to utilize these techniques, and he uses this cannonball ability where Cracker runs right into his stomach, which is still hard and soft all at the same time, but Luffy uses this to actually launch him away, flying into the air. It was satisfying as hell, and it's pretty evident from that final panel that that technique looked like it hurt. Cracker's face got jacked up! I also gotta give Nami some credit. She has just been absolutely fantastic the last couple of chapters. She's pretty much got all of the weird creatures in the forest by the balls because she has that card that completely freaks them out. The other big things that are going down in this week's chapter of One Piece is we get to see what's going on with Chopper and Carrot. They're actually running around the entire Whole Cake Island, and I love that they bring this up. There's all of these different citizens on the island who are telling each other, hey, did you see any, like, weird shit in your mirror last night? I saw this bunny girl and this raccoon, this tanuki, which, why do they always confuse Chopper with a tanuki? He has antlers! And we get to see that they're going through this nightmarish hell as they're running away from Brûlé, who's trying to cut them up with a giant scythe. Frankly, I was just happy to see Chopper and Carrot again. In particular, Carrot, who, little by little, is becoming one of my favorite One Piece characters. A lot of that is due in part to the fact that right now in the anime version, we finally entered the Zoark, and getting to see her in action has only made me fall in love with that character. And then, of course, we have Sanji and his family who are getting ready to go and meet Big Mom. Reiju has healed Sanji's face up, and she still claims that he should have never come back. Despite the fact that she was incredibly instrumental in Sanji actually escaping, she's not going to do anything to help him now, although I have a feeling she's going to have a sudden change of heart later on. There's also a little bit of a flashback sequence with a younger version of Sanji as he's working with Zeph. This is where he learned his chivalrous ways, and there's a lot of great callbacks to Zeph in this week's chapter, whether it be that flashback right there, or the amazing opening page of One Piece this week, where you had Sanji, who was braiding a mustache on a giant fish and making it look just like Zeph. And then I'm assuming seconds later, he cuts it up and eats it. I will say this, the Germa 66 family travels in style. Not only do they have a really slick-looking carriage, but it's being carried by a giant cat. Kinda reminds me of Neko Zaimon, that one painting that was created by Kanjuro when they were climbing up the elephant. I'm not sure if it's just a coincidence, but we're seeing a lot of big goofy cats lately in the series. So what's the rundown on this week's chapter of One Piece? This one was really great. I'm so glad that we finally got back to the battle between Luffy and Cracker. And you know what? Nami was just as instrumental in this battle as well. She was using her abilities to soften up the armor by using her rain abilities, which allowed Luffy to eat even more than he possibly could. It was a really smart idea to use Gear 4th as well, because that ultimately increases the size of his body. It also creates the armor on the outside as well, so he can contain that much more. And it just created this massive battering ram of awesomeness, which allowed it to slam right into Cracker's face, which, like I said, that final panel when you see his face getting hit and flying off looked painful as hell. He's gonna need more than a few band-aids. However, is Cracker actually defeated? Is a guy with a bounty this big going to be defeated by such a ridiculous technique? I think that the history of the One Piece series will definitely give us our answer to that one. What I love about the concept of Luffy being in this big goofy form and using the Gear 4th abilities is it allows me to realize we're going to see a lot of different variations of the Gear 4th techniques, and he's going to be able to sort of combine them with a lot of other ones that he's used in the series, and the possibilities, frankly, my friends, are endless. As I mentioned before, Nami was just so damn funny in this chapter. Sanji, all that stuff, pretty much more of the same. Just him absolutely hating his family as they prepare to go and see Big Mom. I loved the scene with Chopper and Carrot. It was a little too brief. I wanted to see more of that. But then again, I can't decide what I want to see more of. All the stuff with Carrot and Chopper, all the stuff going on with Sanji, Luffy versus Cracker. There's just a lot of exciting things going on here. But I am glad that they finally concluded the battle with Cracker, if this is the true conclusion. It was just pretty damned exciting. And on a visual standpoint, this week's manga chapter was just pitch perfect. I loved it. There were so many great things to see, whether it be just the backgrounds and the visual settings, or just the ridiculousness of Luffy's expression when he's all giant and puffed up, or that giant tank man stance that he's in. It's just so cool and funny looking all at the same time, and it just puts a big smile on your face as you're reading it. I'm going to give this week's chapter a 4 out of 5. I am going to drop it down just a little bit, because I thought the stuff with Sanji and them leaving really wasn't all that exciting, and it just seemed like this weird break in the middle of the chapter before we could get back to Luffy versus Cracker. That being said, it still wasn't bad material. This was still a pretty damn solid chapter of One Piece, which all One Piece fans should definitely check out. So that's my thoughts on this week's manga chapter. Before you guys leave today, make sure to tell me in the comments section below what you thought about this week's chapter of One Piece. What did you think about the battle between Luffy and Cracker? Did you like his brand new Gumu Gumu no Cannonball technique? What do you want to see from the rest of this brand new arc? Please tell me in the comments section below. You guys are awesome! Thank you for watching this review. I truly appreciate it. One of the best ways to support my channel is to simply leave a comment, like the video, or better yet, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby!